I'm joined now by Holly Haynes, CEO of Faith-Based Counselor Training Institute. You can find them online at fbcti.org. And before that, she started 2 successful businesses. She's done real estate in American Belize. She's got a lot going on. Holly, how are you today?
I'm great, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Yeah, glad to have you. I love to start with stories. Stories teach us a lot. They stick with us. So let's start with your story. How did you figure out your passionate purpose, and then it looks like changed over time? I'm a big believer you can have more than one passionate purpose in your lifetime. So how did you figure that out just to get started in your life?
Greg, I think one of the things about your purpose is people finding your purpose sounds like it's been lost. you know,
I like
that
that.
that you've misplaced it somewhere or that it's somewhere out of reach. But in truth, your purpose is all around you. If it's out of reach, it's probably not in your consciousness, and it's probably crowded out by your busyness, your stuff, your mind-numbing activities, or perhaps what the enemy tries to convince you of yourself. So I think over the years, my passion has always evolved. It's never been like, hey, this is just my one thing, and I'm going to be a movie star, and I'm going to do nothing but movies my whole life. So for me, it's been a little different. I, of course, went to college on a full drama scholarship. So I was headed to Hollywood, but the Lord clearly redirected me from that, and I'm grateful for that. I think my passion in the beginning was home building and design, and it's clearly still my passion. I do it all over the world, nationally and internationally, and I absolutely love it. But I think, Greg, for me, the part I love the most is giving people their dreams. You build a house for them and it's their big dream, and then you move them into it and you just get to be a part of that process. I actually had a couple one time that I built for back in Texas that on an ad, they said, we felt like Holly was so close to the process that she was going to move in with us. So that's my passion. And that passion inside of me over the years has redirected me in several different lanes. But the lane has always really been the same, and that is helping people get to their passion and their dream.
I think you said so many cool things in that little bit of time, because I think sometimes people think there's going to be a lightning flash or a burning bush moment. And for some people, there is. For some people, it's awesome. I hate those people, but
All
it's
right.
awesome for them because they've got it and they know, and they're just running with it forever. But
Yeah.
most of us, I think, are a little bit more like what happened to you. And I love what you said there too about you can have the same purpose and do multiple different things towards that purpose, right?
Right.
You can have that purpose of helping people with their dreams, and you can do that in all kinds of different ways throughout your life. It doesn't have to be one thing. I think sometimes people get hooked up with this. I have to have one thing that's my purpose, and if I don't have that, I'm not fulfilled. And so there's a lot of different ways you can do things. And you and I are Christians, so we know our final full satisfaction doesn't come from a thing we do anyway. It's who our identity is in. But I
Right.
do believe that even as a Christian, that God has given you these gifts and talents, and he's put some things in your heart that when you do those, you feel more joy. And I think that's a good thing that we should be pursuing. So when you
Yeah.
said that it was your purpose is all around you, how did you get that deep in you? Like you said, you were headed to Hollywood and you're like, you know what? I think this thing of me helping people fulfill their dreams is where I'm really being pulled. How does that transformation happen?
Yeah, I have a lot of people ask me sometimes, it's the Legally Blonde story. Where did she wake up just one morning and decide she wanted to go to law school? For me, I was in a position where I was building our own home, and I had a lot of friends that were having nightmare experiences with their builders.
Mm.
And this was back in the mid 90s. And back then it was mostly men builders, and it was just a man's world. And I thought, how can these people be having horrible experiences? It just cannot be that hard. And so I ended up doing a spec home in 1997, ended up And this is nothing against the men builders, but as a mother of 5, I feel like women know what women want in homes. They know the space they need. They know the mood lighting they need. They know all those kind of things. And I ended up, the first spec house I ever did, the men builders thought I was crazy. And I ended up selling it for way more than my asking price. And of course, I went on to join that group and be very involved nationally and locally in the building business foundation there. I think for me, I just saw a need. And I think with everybody's passion, you see the need ahead of time, but it's also something, Greg, I have a new word and I'm obsessed with this word. And it took me months to try to pronounce this word correct, and I will probably mess it up today, but it's a word that I stumbled across, and in Greek, it's called splanch nitsomai. And so you have to try to say that 10 times. But my father has published 60 plus books, and he's just a PhD and master's degree and doctor. And he comes up with these words, and then we translate them, of course, into the Hebrew, which I find just fascinating. But this word, splanch nitsomai, it means moved to action. And I think for a passion, a lot of people can have passions that they dream about, but they're not moved to action. Like a lot of us, Greg, can see a homeless person on the side of the road and go, oh man, I feel so bad for them. And when the light changes, we move on. Now, some people, that fire starts stirring in their stomach and in the very pit of their stomach, they're the ones that are going to make a change because they're moved to action, whether it's going to the shelter and feeding them, whether it's taking them a sandwich. No, that's just an example. So
Right.
I think with passion, you have to realize that it's a burning so deep that when you wake up in the morning, you just can't wait to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's so many people in this world that wake up and they go to jobs every day that they never meant to stay in. They're not passionate about it. They just do the mundane day-to-day life. And sometimes I just want to grab these people and say, what is it? What is it you love to do? What is it you're passionate about? Let's help you get there. Is it something completely different from what you've been in 20 years?
Yeah, I think all that is absolutely correct. It's in vogue now to make fun of you and me for saying follow your passion. Like they go, man, you follow your passion, you can end up broke. That's true. You could, which is why you need to plan it out and be careful about it, because I think there's a big difference too between confusing passion with just something you like to do. There are hobbies that you really like to do. And then there is a passion that maybe you could make a living at. There's also a purpose is not always your career. So I think you just have to be careful of figuring that out. People that are sometimes saying following your passion is bad advice don't really understand what our advice is. The advice is not just, hey, I like to be an actress, so I'm going to go to LA and bet it all on I'm going to be a movie star. You would have to do a lot more than that, like you did, of going training and planning it all out. But for instance, I play the guitar and sing. I love to do it. I'm passionate about it. That's not going to be my career. I'm not good enough for that. And I don't think I ever would be. And I'm not passionate enough to put in 8 hours a day to get really good at it. But there's other things that I'm good at, that I'm passionate about, that I can have a career in. Right. So I think you got to balance these things out and figure out.
For sure. For sure. I mean? And one of the things too, Greg, is that along my journey of building homes, I built many homes and many subdivisions, but when I moved from Texas to Colorado, one of the things that shifted that path for me is that I had a super passion along the way for doing the interior designs. And I just moved out when I got to Colorado of building the houses. The landscape was different. We deal with mountains. It's a whole different animal than Texas. So I tell people all the time, God can't move a parked car. You have to keep moving. And in that ebb and flow that you're going in, I found that the interiors were like, I can do them in my sleep. I can't believe sometimes that there's people out there, and they've been a ton of clients of mine. This is what keeps me in business, is that they can't see a room. Even if there's 4 walls up, they cannot see what the room would look like. I can see it the minute I walk into a room. And here in Colorado, I've opened 3 furniture stores along the way and loved it, had the passion of doing the interior. So you have to keep moving to find out that you may not ever even have known that you're passionate about that certain thing.
I like that, because I think a lot of people are waiting for that lightning bolt, that moment that just, aha, everything. And I don't think that's how it happens to most people. You start to think, okay, this is something I might want to do. Then you should start doing it, start moving towards it. That doesn't mean you quit your job that's taking care of your family, but I could start doing this on the side, see if I like it, try it out a little bit, get a little bit better at it. Then I realized, no, this isn't what I want. Or, hey, this is going pretty well. I really like this. Get better and better at it. It's not a one-time thing. It's not a quick fix thing. It's not a get rich quick thing. And in our society, we tend to want that fast thing. But if it's really what you're passionate about, you'll be in it for the long haul. What I would love to ask you about that is, what do you do when you have this idea, you have this passion, you feel stuck where you were? And I find a lot of people, Holly, I don't know about you, they go, I don't see how I can do it, right? They're looking for the finished, successful them doing the thing they want to do, following their passion and purpose, but they're stuck over here and they don't see how to get from A to B. What do you tell them?
I think there's many techniques that I counsel people a lot on, and that is techniques on finding your purpose. And one is, and it's a society like we have, everybody wants the microwave everything. But if you go back and you talk to people, Joyce Myers and the TD Jakes of the world and people like that, that started out with 10 people in their Sunday school class or in their congregation, you look at these people today and they have huge ministries, but they didn't start out like that. They did the hard work to get there. Now, if they hadn't have been passionate about it, there'd been no way that they could have kept that momentum. So something you said a while ago, Greg, is really important for people to grab a hold of what you said, is that people get stuck in starting something and they end up saying, I don't really like it. This isn't really for me. So that's okay. People need to know that you're going to start and stop stuff a ton in your life. I've been on several praise and worship teams throughout the course of my life, and I love to sing, but it is not something that I'm just absolutely fabulous at. And so we have to know that not everything we pursue and we try is something that God has really placed inside of us. But to try it is give yourself grace, because I think so many people think, oh, I failed at it. And I can go into that with FBCTI, because it took me a place to where I was totally out of my comfort zone. And I wanted to throw in the towel so many times, but my passion is so on fire to help people and help the hurting that it goes way beyond my perfectionism. And trust me, I'm a super detailed person. That's how I'm able to come up with 5,000 or 6,000 square foot houses in 4 months, because I'm super detailed. So in my mind, I'm like, why am I not getting this internet thing? Why am I not understanding YouTube? Why am I not understanding the ads on Facebook? I'm in my mid 50s and I'm not a young whippersnapper like my kids that are like, Mom, just, you got this here to click and it's done. So it's a little more challenged for us. But I tell people go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, before I lose it, I loved how you said you went back and you talked about some of these people that are super successful now. People tend to get this comparison game going where you're brand new, right? You're just starting. And you compare what you're doing to somebody who's been doing it for 20 years and you say, oh, I'm no good. That person 20 years ago is not who they were now either.
Oh,
it takes a while to get really good. You have to put in the time. And I think when we compare ourselves to somebody who's put in the time, we get discouraged. The enemy starts whispering, you're not worth it. You can't do it. This is not what's for you. And we just got to hang in there a little bit longer, and you might see some of the fruit. Holly Haynes is the CEO of Faith-Based Counselor Training Institute. The website is at fbcti.org. And Holly, I know you have a free PDF there about helping people find their passion and purpose. Can you tell us a little bit about that, how to get it?
Yeah, sure. You just go to the website and you just write on the front page. It's free. It's downloadable. You get it immediately. And again, you'll find some of the techniques that I'll share with you, Greg, in there. Some of the techniques as far as people, like I said, people think that passion is just something that's just out there, and how do you find it? That's one of the number one things I think, Greg, that people struggle with, because everybody wants to leave a legacy. They want to make a difference in this world. And we're put here to do that. There is no doubt that each one of us have had a passion that's placed, that God has placed within us, without a shadow of a doubt. So it's there. And like I said, I was reading scriptures when I knew I was going to talk to you today. And I just want to say this real quick, because James 1:5 says that if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask God, who gives liberally without reproach, and it'll be given to them. So I tell people all the time, ask God, what is it? What is it, God, that you have for me? Because he'll let you know. He'll tell you those things. It says in Isaiah 30:21, it says, your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. Whenever you turn to the right hand or whenever you turn to the left hand. So the scriptures clearly tell us that to continue to walk, it'll be there. You'll hear this voice behind you when you're walking. Like I said, God can't move a parked car. So continue to hone whatever it is, your craft that you want to do, and continue walking. But some of the techniques, Greg, are, number one is to slow down. And in a fast-paced society, slow down, rest your body, rest your mind, your soul, immerse yourself in the present moment. 2 is become aware of things that make you smile. A lot of times people will find their passion in just like movies or a book or people that inspire them or things that bring you joy. I was at church Sunday and the pastor was talking about serving in the church, and he was talking about the nursery and things like that. Clearly, I know that's not my passion to do that. But to bring meals, because I love to cook, but to bring meals that they have frozen, that if somebody is hurting and they can take a meal to their house, I'm all for that. So people can learn what injustices push your buttons. Sometimes when you get angry about stuff, that's that placement of, you're going to be, the word I said, split snow. It's just so hard to even split snow my, whatever that is internally within you, pay attention to that, because those are the areas that, don't try to fit your square into a round hole. It just won't, you'll be unhappy. You just won't have your joy. And so I'm all about allow yourself to explore your memories. Like when you were a child, what were you passionate about? What was your love? What did you enjoy doing before you got too busy? And again, Greg, we're so busy today in this world, and especially with social media, it allows us to not have that downtime to just breathe in.
For sure.
And,
yeah, I always talk about it. I call it your R&R time, remember and rediscover. That's what I mean by that, where you've got to go on a little retreat, a little mini retreat, whether it's even in your backyard for 4 hours where you totally unplug, whether it's you go to a park, whether you go to a hotel room by yourself for a weekend, whatever it is, where you can get away, turn off everything. And really, because you and I are Christian, I would say pray and tune into what the Holy Spirit is telling you. If you're not Christian, it's the same thing of just getting quiet and meditating, just to get in touch with what's going on. But I just firmly believe that something will come up. Something will come out of that time. And you mentioned it earlier. We numb ourselves right now. I still do it. Even when I know it, I have to stop myself.
Absolutely.
Or going out to dinner too much, or even just watching football too much on a Sunday, just where I'm like, I just basically tuned out for 6 hours. That's not great to do that over and over. And it really suppresses these natural things inside you that are saying, hey, there's more than this for you. And it's all based around your purpose and your passion. And you've got to tap into that and really fan that flame, or you're just going to go day to day. And it gets to that part you were saying, Holly, where you wake up and you go to the job that, it's all right, or you hate it. And you're going to do that for 40, 50, 60 hours a week for 40 or 50 years. That doesn't sound great to me.
Yeah, that's not good. But also too, Greg, when you do watch the Cowboys get beat by Green Bay yesterday, or you do watch a Netflix movie, or you do check out, sometimes it's just okay. One of the things I know that you've probably learned, I have, just because of our age, is that we place so many demands on ourselves that we live by the ultimate list. And our brains are wired to where if we get to mark off on the list then we really feel like we've accomplished something.
Right.
And if we sit in the presence of God and try to listen to him for even 10 minutes, we feel like we're behind or we've wasted time because we haven't been productive. In which, in essence, you have to train your mind. That is really the most productive part of your day. And so I think that we have to give ourselves grace for when we want to just sometimes tune out and sit there and just be mindless, because we are just constantly doing the next thing. And you know this too, Greg, we beat ourselves up over and over about what we didn't get accomplished.
Yes.
But we never say to ourselves, man, you accomplished a lot today, Greg. You accomplished a lot today, Holly. You went and saw somebody at your dad's retirement home and you spent 10 minutes on the sofa talking to them, even though you felt like you didn't have the time and you had to be somewhere else. Those are the moments that God just says, hey, listen, I didn't make you human doings. I made you human beings.
Yeah,
So
man, you got to have time built in your day for those divine interruptions so you can do those things. And like you said, and just kind of embrace it. I tell you, for me, even my morning prayer time or afternoon prayer time or whenever you do it, I had to put it on my calendar, because then I could say, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not just doing something that doesn't matter. This is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. This is the most important thing. And then I could settle in and not have my brain going crazy telling me that I should be doing something, because that's how, and it took a while for me to be able to do that. And I think a lot of people have that problem, like you said, of I got to do something. There's nothing wrong with watching a football game. There's something wrong with watching 4 football games in a row and you're not even paying attention because you're just numbing yourself. That's the difference. And we're supposed to have a Sabbath. Nothing wrong with that. Do 6 Sabbaths in a row and don't do anything in half of them. Now we got a problem, right? So you got to everything in its place, everything in its time. And remember that you're not here just to work all the time. I totally agree. Holly, I appreciate your time today. Appreciate what you do. If you are interested in doing any kind of counseling, I know a lot of people are interested in doing that as a second career. Maybe you're already a counselor. Faith-Based Counselor Training Institute, fbcti.org is where you go for that. You got great training there. There's also, of course, that free PDF on how to help find that passion and purpose that you're looking for. Holly, we just appreciate your time. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I appreciate you and all you're doing too out there, because I think it's so important that we come alongside and really tell people that they can do it. They can. I don't care if it's work remotely, work from home, be in the islands like I was for 3 years and have a career. Just get out of your box. Just take yourself out of that box and don't limit yourself and go for it. It's one life. That's all we got, guys. So
love it. Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Our team here at FBCTI wants to always leave you with this. 1, if you don't know Jesus, we would love to share him with you. And 2, if you need healing or have a prayer request, leave us a comment below. And 3, if you're looking to change others' lives through a new career in counseling or becoming a crisis chaplain in your church or your community, head over to the website and set up a time to visit with us. Until then, be blessed.